I'd emceed like 6 or 7 national honors where these awards are given to people. So in one of those cases, Obasanjo said, Alibaba deserves a GCFR, the Grand Comedian of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I got the hint that Obasanjo wanted me to be Minister of State for Information and Culture. Yeah. I got my letter and said, okay, that I need to go and talk to some people before the announcement is made. And then I started hearing some kind of figures that people pay to become. I'm not paying anybody any
facilitation fee.
Like when Basket said he had never taken a picture with AY before. I went through my album and I'm like, these two rascals were living in the BQ.
With all the connections, networks, experience, insights that you have, why have you never run for office?
First of all, it is that our constitution is crap.
Okay.
You can say it anyway. If you bring Obama to run Nigeria with that constitution, he will fail.
Yeah, but that doesn't stop you from running for office, though.
So what I'm saying is that the system is so bad.
Right.
The constitution needs to be rejigged.
So you're saying that the system is so skewed against development that
yes,
running for office is almost pointless.
As I am now, if you give me an appointment and you share 300 million, when I come and say they gave me 300 million, I will say it. They gave me 300 million. I'm working this one fair. Because there's a House of Assembly guy that said our budgets are being padded. What happened to them? They removed it.
Yeah.
The guy didn't see the light of day.
Yes, that was the last statement he made in public.
So that's the kind of situation that we have. A week ago or so, some people were protesting in the National Assembly and said, you cannot appoint leaders for the minority. Let us choose our leaders by ourselves.
Yeah.
And the guy was protesting. Those kind of people don't last.
Yeah.
Because the system will eat them up.
So you know that you won't last in this system.
I won't last 1 year. Even if you make me a DG of an organization or an agency.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll last because the civil servants, most of them, survive on the corruption.
Yes, those are the real owners of the ministry.
Exactly.
Let's move from Nigeria's politics. Do you feel offended that an industry that you essentially carried on your back, you've not been recognized with a national honor for that?
I've done about emceed 6 or 7 national honors where these awards are given to people. So in one of those cases, Obasanjo said, we have finished this presentation of the national honors, but I want to say that Alibaba deserves a GCFR, the Grand Comedian of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Yeah. And from now on, we'll be calling him the Grand Comedian of the Federal Republic. So, which is why they say Alibaba GCFR.
Yeah.
And so it was verbal. It's not that they'll give me the highest honor of the country, but I felt that the mention alone
acknowledge
the fact that I had contributed a bit, and I don't push it.
So I understand that. So in the bigger context, yes, that's how Nigeria is.
Yes,
people that deserve things don't get them.
Don't get it. There was a time this issue was going, it's because Alibaba is not as funny again or something. And I said, okay. So one day we were sitting down, one of my friends, Efe Rozako, and I said, do 3 hours of stand-up comedy. Just let them know. Yeah. And I did 6 hours straight at the Muson Center.
Yes.
And then... then one other person was saying, oh, this other person is funnier than this. And then, okay, if you have 10 people that you want to, the best comedians in Nigeria, list 10 best comedians in Nigeria. And the guy listed 10 and did not call my name. And I think it was Olisa Adiba. And they asked the guy, so you mean Alibaba is not in this? And he said, Alibaba is not in this category. Leave Alibaba, he's a different
class
kind of
his own.
And he said, why? And he recounted a time that we were at an event. And I told him, I said, Basketmouth, look around, give me 5 jokes. And Basket said, okay, 5. And he did 1. And I said, okay, good. And I said, you know what you need to do is be spontaneous enough to, every time you look around you, there's flowers, there's a picture, lights, calabash, tissue box, table, you can make a joke about everything. That is when you have arrived. I said, so I'll give you 5 jokes right now. And I went off on 5 jokes. And I said, you can take all.
Wow, you said you can take all.
I said, you can take all. And he gladly did. And he mentions it every other time.
Yeah.
There's so many people that are in the industry that I do the same thing for. Whether it's advertising, whether it is voiceover, whether it is script writing, whether it's movies, broadcast, or anything. I'll take a pen, write some things, and send it to you. I say, even if I'm working with you as a co-MC, I'll say, I think it's best to introduce this man like this. I'll write out the introduction. And I say, go ahead, do it.
Yeah.
And then the person would read it out and somebody's like, that's a beautiful recognition that you gave me, thank you. And the person turns to me and goes like this and says, yeah, we'll go, carry on. It's not rocket science that if your lights another person, you are not competing with that person, you become a source.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm good with it.
Okay. So this has been an interesting year for that industry.
Yeah.
And one of the big conversations, and I had this because for this show, AY starting this whole 30K something. Okay. I talked to Bovi, and then later there was, the stalker came on social media and said, oh, he had been oppressed by Basketmouth, etc. What was striking people is that when this industry, as it is, started, and you were leading and incubating, the gist about that industry was that everybody was cooperating. Was that it was a family, because either somebody was living in your boys' quarters or somebody was working on your show, or you went to a show in Ekpoma or
and then different places.
In Abraka.
I just see somebody and say, yes. I think you're.
But AY said that you thought you were not going to be paid for that show. So you had already left the matter. Then he paid you and you just held him and said, okay, you are going to come to Lagos. So that was the energy of this comedy industry, which was very collegial. How did it become like this? Where they are all fighting, this one is not supporting the other one.
The industry then grew, camaraderie disappeared, and competition took over. So even the Basketmouth, there was one time we had a show at Muson Center. We're doing the show. And when we came out, we saw that the rain was heavy. Meanwhile, Basket was doing his Humor Unlimited thing at Fantasyland.
Right.
And Fantasyland was like the Eco Hotel of the time.
Yes.
And so we're driving home. And AY said, Bros, we'll go basket show. We'll go see how far. So we drove there. When we got there, people were protesting. The place is not covered. Why didn't you put a tent? And then we started calling people back into the place. The rain has ceased. We said, Mokuna coming. It's going to be fun.
So you and AY were begging people to come back
in? Yeah, so we
begged
people, and then they came in. We had a show. We stayed there till about like 1 or 2. And then we finished. Camaraderie was awesome.
Yeah.
But you see, pettiness and backbiting and all those things only started showing up after a while, where the essence of being brothers and being healthy competitors disappeared. Because like the time Mohammed Danjuma, myself, Alan Blow, and Basketmouth were on the scene, sometimes you can fill in for another person without even asking for money. The guy is like, I'm somewhere here now, I'm doing this event, I don't think I can make it to that. Are you in Lagos? Please go. And then you dash to the place, finish the event, and leave. You are not bothered about, oh, you've not given me money, or you should have paid
trust
me,
in that.
You are owing me 30K or something. No, that wasn't the issue. It was that you had enough on your plate. And then most of these guys now, the crab mentality had come in. So they're now choosing sides. Oh, I want to be a Basketmouth clique, I want to be a Bovie clique. But when you even look around, you see the ones that don't have cliques. TA doesn't have cliques. Bovie doesn't have cliques. Now you have a clique that belongs to Basketmouth, the people that are Basketmouth people. You have people who are AY's people. But you find that in all of this, the people who are members of those cliques still relate amongst themselves.
Right, exactly.
They relate amongst themselves. So for me, I think these issues will solve themselves. I hate to think that they want to fight forever. And as we have seen,
maybe not.
RMD also has done well. He's talked to all of them separately, and we'll start to talk to all of them together. But I think that they will get over it.
Right. I want to come back to, we're talking about 1 million. Then people thought you were lying. I remember at Motherland or somewhere, Lagbaja is one of those that confirmed it. Lagbaja said he's very annoyed with you. That you two of you were charging 1 million. But he
will pay for band,
pay for equipment, pay for band members.
And then I'll still come and use his mic.
Why couldn't people believe that you were getting the amount of money? And did you feel offended by that?
It's the same way people do not believe now that the boys in the skits industry are making so much.
Right.
The boys in the skits industry are making so much.
Yes, of course.
As like a Markangel could do easily $350,000 a month. When you aggregate all his social media platforms. Sabalo Comedy. Sabalo Comedy. And all the other guys, plus Mr. Macaroni. All these guys are aggregating a minimum of between $50,000 to $100,000 every month. There are some bank MDs that don't earn that. You understand?
Yes.
So until people understand that the money in the sector is plenty, there's nothing you can do about it. So at the time that people were saying, oh, how could it be that? I don't think he's making that kind of money. It's his wife that is making the money.
Yes,
So,
yes.
and the question I asked one guy, a journalist, which was the end of the interview anyway, when he said, you're not making that kind of money, that it's your wife that is taking care of you. And I said, it's okay for people to think like that. I said, but I'll just ask you a few questions. Is it Basketmouth's wife that is taking care of him? Is it AY's wife that is taking care of him? Is it Bobby's wife that is taking care of him? Or is it Teju's wife that is taking care of him? And the person was like, no. I said, okay, so you think that those guys are earning so much and I'm not earning anything?
Doesn't make sense.
I said, then on top of it is that, do you think that after a while, my own purse ceased and they are making all the money and now I'm depending on my wife alone? You know, for a lot of them, it's ignorance.
Yeah.
And then some people also like to justify what they don't know.
Yes.
What they don't know, they'll justify it. Then there were people who were paying so much and hear all these people say, oh, he's not making money. And they're like, he's an account officer.
I can see the amount.
I can see the amount. Yes. We paid him so and so. And then one man ran into me at one event and he was like, you're here again? I said, it's charity. He said, charity will. And as I was saying it, the man that paid for the event came and said, charity will.
The money in your account is not
what we paid you is charity. So we laughed about it.
Yeah.
But as people got to know how much we had in the sector and in the industry, the conversation changed. And which is why you then started seeing journalists write 10 highest paid comedians in Nigeria, the richest comedians in Nigeria, what they drive, what they own, their investment. And also. At the time that I got, excusez-moi, the event center.
Yes, the massive event center.
Massive, 4,000 square meters.
Yes.
And we're hosting events of like 3,000, 4,000 people. And I was making money like every weekend.
Yeah.
After a while, I thought, maybe just leave comedy because this thing is making a lot of money. My wife said, you wish. What happens for some people is that if they can't phantom how you're making your money, they build a story around
it. Yes, absolutely. I want to go back because time has passed. I don't know when I'm talking to you, time passes. I want to come back to Obasanjo, but because you mentioned it, because I do know that was, and I asked RMD when he came here this question. You know, part of that was also that first and foremost, what you were doing was completely different. Nobody had ever seen anything like that in terms of professionalizing social media. So they were looking for how to explain. I feel RMD, but part of the rub and why they now defaulted to your wife, it appeared, was because I remember one day in the night, Ifere was annoyed. Ifere was calculating for me. He said, I can tell you how much Alibaba did me. He said, I need a sponsor. This, I don't want to say personal things, No. He said, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this. And he was angry because he was also your lawyer. So he knows what was moving in and out. But do you think that it was because they saw RMD, you know, he was married to me was an older woman. They saw you were married to Patricia Lunch, she was an older woman. And you're Boy Boys. So they just look at you and say, nah, scam.
I think it's just still part of that. What they don't know, they have to explain.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you then try to explain, you go explain tired.
Yeah.
You know?
So you never explained?
So for me, initially I wanted to. And then it then got to a point. In fact, there was a lady that was in my account officer at Standard Trust. When the story was going up and down. So one day she said that she just read this story now in Fame. And when I saw the story, I was like, one of those stories again. But this lady read it. Because for them, who were journalists, one boy just come from one place and be cleaning out and claiming that he's doing very well and driving driving a V-boot, you know. This lady was very upset. And they brought, so I give Pat checks every month.
Right.
And so when Pat presented her check for that month, she bounced it. She said the signature is irregular. She was very upset. She said the signature was irregular. And it's not now that mobile phones were everywhere. Yeah. So Pat sent me a pager message.
Right. Pat is your wife? Yes.
I said, Ali, no, I didn't cash the check. I said, what happened? They said the signature was irregular. I said, okay, I will look into it. He said, no, I need money to do it. I said, okay, don't worry. So I drove to the place and the lady said, no, did you see this story? I said, oh, this story. I said, I saw it. He said, did they know that she comes to cash check here every month?
It's like, let us confirm this once and for all.
I said yes, but you know, it's not necessary. Just she said, and let her represent. And then she represented it. And then she said she was very upset, you know. Yeah. And she had all the checks. She could go there anytime. And for me, after a while, when I spoke to somebody and the person said, she's your wife, even if she had, and she's the one giving you the money, it's not a problem. Yeah. But the people who pay you, they are the ones that matter. They know how much they pay you. They know how much you have. So don't sweat it. That's what matters.